I prepared few questions out of my head of things I was curious about related to topic of nutrition, related to nutrition, related to travel, kind of in a random order. Let's see if I can make an order before we start. So one of them was about absorption of nutrient. Uh, One is more about supplements. One is deficiency test for the body, and one is diet on the road. Few question about diet on the road, and about signs. Another one is about signs that the body has deficiencies. So maybe I'll put it together with the other question. Wait a second. Okay, and the last one is about replacement for sugars. For sugar. Wait a second, I'll cut it. Supplement.
And I'll tell you what I have for me, and then I think we could introduce ourselves real quick, just in case, just for the practice, and if anybody wants to see it or we want to share it, then they have a little bit of yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more about enjoying this uh, meeting face to face and kind of like experiment practice. I think my main goal is we have a good experience.
Yeah, I agree. We would definitely have a great experience. I like to practice through the whole shabam, so then we get a good feel of what we want to do different or tweak or whatever. I think it should be a
Mm,
cool interaction, and we can do them a couple times here and there.
yeah, I'm having
So what do
this typical tea. It's typical in Moroccan. It's
what?
very popular here because we have a lot of Moroccans in Israel.
Cool.
So I don't remember the name. I don't know what's the name. Well, I'll translate to you. You should try it. Uh, Shiba.
Shiba.
Phone doesn't work. Hmm.
It might not even translate right because I find like some of the foods here in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
I try to translate the word or something, and there is no translation for it, or it translates it
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, it doesn't know.
Oh,
Hmm.
it's all good. Were those all your topics?
What's that?
Were those all of your topics, or like kind of things you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I figure out it's gonna be quite a lot, and you're gonna have
A
some.
little bit,
It'll be
yeah,
enough,
yeah. That's what I figure. I
and
only,
I'm sure we're gonna come up with some on the way, along the
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, for sure. I only had like
Never
two
mind.
topics. I was gonna chat a little bit about the AI, the
Mm-hmm.
chat GPT with health related, and
Yeah,
then talk a little bit about kind of traveling and staying healthy while you travel, and especially as a vegan, like how to eat vegan while you're traveling and obstacles and some tips and stuff about it. So
cool.
yeah, and
I
and
lost.
you
Okay,
what?
here it is. I'm kind of struggling with putting all the things together, the notes here,
Okay, no,
you
that's
in
good.
front.
That's all right. You keep setting up, then I'll just do a little introduction of myself. So my name is Eric. I'm here in Brazil. I'm from the Cayman Islands, and I've been traveling for a couple months through Mexico, and then now I've been in Brazil for a little more than 2 months. And my background is that I'm a nutritionist with a bachelor's in nutrition, and I have a certificate in plant-based nutrition. So yeah, and me and my buddy are gonna have a chat about some topics. You wanna
Mm-hmm.
introduce yourself?
That's one I should work on. Okay. My background.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
think my
It just doesn't have to be anything, or it could just be whatever you feel
I think
compelled to
professional
share.
background goes to the army. being trained as a in a commando unit in Israel. Really extreme
Can't
the
imagine.
training.
I'm sure.
And after that, we went start travel after those 3 years. And year into the travel, we think a year into it, we met in Guatemala,
Nice.
uh,
Yeah, that's where we
on the
met.
street,
At the street.
on the street,
I remember.
on,
Where is it
on
as street food? It was like a street
on street
vendor.
food.
Yeah, it was a good. I didn't like you at first. I was like,
Yeah,
who's this
I
jerk?
noticed.
And then I think when we met each other again, was it at the Rainbow Gathering?
Yeah, we met
Uh,
on the beach of Guatemala on
That's what.
the Pacific side.
Yeah, yeah,
Pacific side. I met you and Chase again, and then we kind of had a proper introduction.
yeah,
I went to your workshop that you did
yeah, yeah.
about the moringa oleifera and about medicinal plants and how to use them on the road.
That was my first workshop ever, ever.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was really
And
cool.
I've been to a few others later after that.
Yeah, when we traveled
Remember
together
Costa
to
Rica?
Costa Rica and Panama.
Yeah, yeah. Start
Yeah,
taking photos in Costa Rica.
yeah, that's right. And then we did a couple workshops together, Panama, and then
Hmm.
we connect, we split up, and then we connected back up in Ecuador.
Yeah, in no
In Colombia.
Colombia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jamal was with us then.
and all of that was hitchhiking.
Yeah, those were good times.
It was fun.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Like it's a real adventure.
Oh man, we should write a book about it one day.
I want to keep doing it. I don't want to keep looking. It feels like when you go back after those 2 years and you look back on the memories and you tell people the stories, you start to feel very old.
Oh yeah, that's why I have to keep living new adventures so I keep feeling young.
Maybe that's another one I want to talk with you about
Yeah, cool. We
some
can add it
adventure.
some
Yeah.
adventures. We
Okay.
can. You want to start?
Yeah. I think I have enough introducing myself.
Yeah, you
So
sure?
keep some mystery for the
The next episode.
whoever watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, you can start if you
Um.
want.
Yeah. So I have a few topics I was interested to pick your brain on
Cool.
about absorptions of nutritions. One of my main questions or concerns when I purchase supplements, food supplements, vitamins, minerals, and I consider myself. I think I one that consume quite a lot compared to my peers, me and you. And I was many times concerning if this product that I buy, like it's look nice and packaged nice, but how is it really deliver the value? If it really absorb those vitamins and nutrients, or it's just flash out of you, or who knows, maybe the product lost is potency.
So that's a good question. With absorption of nutrients, there's a lot of factors that play a role in how well you absorb things or how much you don't. Some of the things, one of the first place to really start, if it's possible, to really get I mean, I always try to, as much as possible, take out the guesswork and rely on blood
Mm-hmm.
work. And if you're able to somehow take a blood test, it could be something very simple. It doesn't have to test everything, but it's just, focusing on minerals and vitamins if you're low on certain things. And it could tell you if your white blood cell count is low. So if you know if you're taking a supplement before or the blood work before and then able to do one after. you can see if there was improvement, or and then also you'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to actually tell if you have a deficiency. So if you know you're actually doing yourself a service by taking something.
So
But
when I go and do this test and you see, let's say vitamin B, you're using vitamin B before and after the test and you see it going up. Um, I was also wondering if those tests can be kind of manipulated by different types of the vitamin, if it's like natural or synthetic ones, is it has the same effect or
so they
because
so go on.
yeah,
Most
yeah.
most clinical studies that are on like vitamins and minerals, generally majority of them are for synthetic. Um, their minerals are usually extracted from some kind of organic material, and because they don't always synthesize those, but the vitamins they will for sure. And the absorption, they call it like bioavailability. So it's how well the body absorbs certain nutrients. And from my research, I would definitely be in favor or always recommend people to go the natural route for their vitamins and minerals. So you can look for ones that they're made from, they'll say the ingredients, and they'll say that, it's coming from these types of plants and herbs. And so it's a lot more of a natural form of the vitamins and minerals so your body can absorb it better. Also, when you have the synthetic vitamins, they're not always it's when you have herbal supplements, so things that are made from plants and vegetables. One of the negatives about it, or the things that they say is not as good, is because if it's harvest from different, let's say, regions or times of year, the plants could have different levels of nutrients. So they don't always specifically test every batch and get the exact
Mm-hmm.
reading of that batch. So, and if it's natural, generally they'll break down a little bit quicker than the synthetic. So it could lose its potency depending on how old it is, or if the batch where they harvest it from didn't wasn't grown very healthy, and the nutritional value is quite low. So I think it's more in not about having like consistency. So you're trying to supplement certain things that you may be lacking in your diet, or it's hard to get
Mm-hmm.
available in your diet. And by having these supplements, you can supplement those types of things, those vitamins and minerals that you're lacking. If you go, if you can, I mean, having blood work is the only way that you can really know for sure. I mean, you can maybe feel something. So some people, they'll have some types of symptoms, um, or they're suffering from some kind of condition. They may see improvements with their symptoms and what they're experiencing without the supplement. So they may actually feel something physically better, but most times than not, it's going to be really hard. Like with the vitamin B, you may feel a difference if with like energy, but it's not always a guarantee. You may be suffering from something else that's underlying actually your fatigue. And yeah, you're lacking vitamin B, but that may not actually be causing your fatigue. So you may do yourself, you would do yourself some like some good service to improve your vitamin B, but it may actually not fix what's going on. So it's hard to really feel if
Uh,
you're taking the
kind of
vitamins.
going with the element, you can eliminate that after you supplement all your needs, and then it still have the fatigue. You can kind of like guess that it's not what it wasn't the root cause.
Yeah, exactly. So and the only way you can really know for sure is with blood work, because the blood work will actually show you your levels. And even that, the blood work, there's factors that can vary, like maybe that time of day or that week, maybe you were sick the week before, or there's certain factors that could still cause like a deviation in the blood work and not show a good kind of picture of where you're at. But overall, it's still going to be very accurate, and it'll actually show you if you're over something. So what you were saying about flushing, it's a good point. Like protein, everybody's always concerned with protein, and it's the big topic. And what's kind of ironic is that as much people are taking protein, if there's a urine test that you can take, so it's a little bit simpler. There are some like home kits that you'd be. I'm not too familiar with all of them, but I know a lot of that industry's come a long way with self-home kits. You got to do your research on getting a really good one because some of them are kind of hyped up and they're not that accurate. But
Mm.
you can take those and still test at least like protein. And a lot of people are taking too much protein. It's called overload, protein overload, and they're actually just passing it. So they're taking too much protein
Just
and actually,
wasting their money.
yeah, wasting the money. And then also they're actually damaging their kidneys because their kidneys have to
Mm.
filter out all that protein. So they're actually damaging their kidneys in the long run. So it's actually, really good to do a blood work and actually see. And they're actually pretty inexpensive nowadays. Even if you couldn't get your doctor to cover it under your health care or the public care, then even purchasing them yourself and going to a lab and doing it's pretty inexpensive nowadays.
Well, and what the common names they go for?
The most
You
general
remember?
the most general type of blood test that kind of covers a full spectrum is called a CBC. So it's
CBC?
yeah, complete blood count, I believe is what it stands for. And it
Mm.
just will check your all your red blood cells, white blood cells. I think they now cover a few hormones. And then of course all your vitamins and your minerals. Um, and a couple other things too, like signatures for stress on your kidneys or your liver. So you can like liver function test and a kidney function test, and it'll show you certain things like that.
Good to know because I need to take one soon.
Yeah.
I'm
If
I'm
you're
taking
if
this I'm taking this medication.
uh-huh.
I had this virus like a
uh,
week ago discovered, and yeah, they told me I need to take some tests to check the liver
well,
or kidneys.
that's good. Cool. Maybe you can ask them, convince your doctor at the same time to do it's like I forgot the name. It checks your gut health. It's like your bioflora, your microflora in your gut.
Ah, the microbes in your gut.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll check like
That'd
so
be
your
interesting.
yeah, your gut health and stuff.
Do they have to stick something up your ass?
No, they I think they check your feces. So you
Oh,
gotta
okay, okay.
yeah. So you gotta poop in a cup.
There's something interesting about that I kind of got into. I want to talk in another time.
Cool, we'll save it
It's
for the next one.
yeah. So absorption. We talk about absorption. What helps? Maybe you can give us some tips to improve absorptions of nutrients in
Um,
diet, like
gen
general, like
General stuff, I mean, I usually would recommend if you're gonna take some supplement to, especially if it's vitamins and minerals, to take it with food. It doesn't have to be immediately with food, but I'd say, I think it would help because if you're having a healthy meal, generally if there was some nutrients lacking in the meal, and then you're consuming the supplement. So the digestive enzymes that's in the food and produced by your stomach would also help with the absorption of those supplements that you took rather than taking the supplement by
because yeah, I heard that many times, but never really understood if there what is the reason
because
behind.
because if you were taking the supplement by itself just with water, it may not activate the stomach to release certain digestive enzymes because the
Mm,
capsule may not actually trigger the stomach to do that. It may not recognize that it's like consumed a food item.
time time to eat,
Yeah,
time to
and that
digest.
yeah, exactly. So it may not turn on. So it may kind of just pass with the water and flush right through the
Mm-hmm.
stomach without those digestive enzymes to help absorb certain nutrients. Certain nutrients are absorbed at different stages of the stomach, of the digestive tract. So you want to kind of like tell the stomach to turn on. And I think when you're
Mm.
eating food with that, it doesn't have to be a lot, but just something. It can even be a light fruit or something. I think would
Okay.
do better than without.
Anything that will be like a small meal.
Yeah, just to kind of turn on the stomach and the gastric juices that are produced that are secreted by the stomach and the intestines. Even with your saliva, there's a certain
Mm.
digestive enzymes that are produced. So if you're just drinking the supplement capsules with water, that and you're fasting and you didn't have anything to eat, you may not really get that. It may in your intestines, but I, from what I know, which is not a whole lot on that topic specifically, but from my understanding and knowledge, it's better for taking it with a meal because then you'll digest. Let's say you had a meal and you didn't have enough vitamin C and you were taking a multivitamin. Well, now you got that vitamin C in that meal, and you'll have a complex blend of like different like complementary vitamins and minerals in that meal. So they'll actually kind of work together in a synergetic effect because you have a more balanced nutritional intake with the meal than just like very high in this and very low in that.
Mm. And what can you recommend to avoid uh, something blockage of absorptions, like the opposite of
Uh,
improving?
try your best as possible to not make the meal acidic or consume something acidic with the meal. That could be food or beverage. And a lot of people will generally will be alcohol or a coffee. Those are gonna
Acidic as lemon juice,
no, it's a different type of acidity.
because I know it's also considered acidity. And
Or
it would it improve the absorption of the other nutrition? Could you add the juice on the salad,
I
the
don't
vitamin C in it?
I don't I'll be honest, I don't know something by literature that I've read, but from
Uh-huh.
my knowledge or understanding, I would suspect so. I would think that the citrus would help with some kind of digestion. I think it would also help like eliminate if there are certain types of maybe parasites, like the acidity would kind of neutralize it. There is maybe some dirt or something on the lettuce or something like that. The acidity would neutralize certain types of things.
I see. Um, another topic, we're
Yeah.
talking about deficiency,
Mhm.
and I had a question. Wait. Um, so we talk about the test. You can do the blood test. This was what the one you recommend, and the bacteria. Another test you mentioned, but not we didn't get into. Maybe you can expand a bit about that, which I'm very curious to learn more. Uh, Recently, there was more and more become more popular this topic of gut bacteria, and um, yeah, I know that there is. I learned from more Eastern um, medicine that they used to diagnose people with looking at their body, like color change in the eye, nail change,
Mhm.
color or marks on the
Mhm.
body, and this color of the feces and on the or the urine.
Hold on, let me
Maybe
pause
you can.
you. Yeah, I can talk about. So it looks like it says your meeting will end in 10 minutes. What should we
Oh,
do? We have to
maybe we can
upgrade.
try and make another one, and we'll just put it. I can edit to later.
Okay. So when it stops in 10 minutes, we'll
All right.
just stop it and do it again.
We could just continue from the same place spot you stopped.
Cool. So I don't know too much in that specific type of medicine. how their diagnosis. I'm familiar with it, like I'm aware of it, but in my field, there are many traits that the body will show deficiencies, like the eyes, the nails, the tongue, the hands, the skin, the hair. Um, there's quite a few things you can even with their pulse or even with their breath, you can hear and be able to diagnose if they're having certain things. But there's much more science into that field that I'm just not too knowledgeable about. But yeah, with like the nails and the eyes are very easy giveaways. If someone's deficient, they'll actually I
I
can't remember off the top of my head, but there's one that it's like if you're it's one of the minerals, I believe. No, it might actually be one of the vitamins that your like eyes, the white part of your eyes will become very yellow, and even your nails will become a little yellow.
Is it
Like
a deficiency or is it a disease?
it can be both, but like if you see it in someone's doesn't have any diseases, it's a deficiency. But it's more commonly, I think, as a deficiency. Um, you'll see people with that
Because
kind of
a deficiency can become a disease later,
yes, yeah,
but that's
exactly.
what I understood. But
Yeah.
it's also can be a sign of like I forgot the English term for that, but it used to be common with sailors where they have deficiency in vitamin C, and I
Lyme
think you could see
disease.
it in their eyes.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
and that's what I thought.
no,
No,
scurvies or something like that, which is
and
like I think
I
it's
think
low in
you could they could
iodine.
see it in the eyes,
Yeah, maybe it's vitamin
iodine, but I
iodine.
think also vitamin C it was
Yeah, I
one of
think
the problems
I think so. I think it's vitamin C as well.
because you don't get it
Potatoes.
from the dry, yeah,
Yeah,
potatoes, fish, dry food.
yeah, exactly.
If they would sail for a long time, for months and months and months, and wouldn't get to a fresh supply, they would develop those kind of disease.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, you mentioned tongue. So what can you give some few simple tips like everyone can monitor themselves like that?
I don't know them off of my head, but there's you can do there's like I could try to send you some info. I'll try to look up something, but there's like certain things that you could see if there's like, kind of a white film residue on the tongue, or if the tongue looks very broken up, it should be kind of smooth. If it looks, those are certain, it can also be an infection. It could be like a disease. There's a couple different things, but I don't know them. I don't remember them off the top of my head. It's not something I'm
Hmm.
too knowledgeable on. I just know that um, they're traits. Like you could see certain
Yeah,
traits of people if they're deficient in those types. Even like their lips, or like the corners of their lips will be very cracked or always have like a sore. Things like that are kind of traits that you'll see.
yeah. And it's not just that. I think many, like you mentioned before, many things like I was reading lately about the type of feces that you have regularly can point on a problem in digestive system and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
And
for
if you
sure.
understand those, you can catch things before they get serious, way
Yeah.
before they get serious. So you
Hmm.
kind of if you're aware to your body and to your this all the signs, you can prevent big disease down the road.
Yeah, yeah, yep, that's correct.
And that's something that I didn't don't remember anyone talking about much. Only some random books I read.
Yeah, no, it's and if you're very healthy and regular, you should be very natural and easy, and there's ways you can trait like signs and kind of observations you can make to see if you're okay or if you're, something's abnormal.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we can expand maybe in another time on, like
Cool.
make a little tips, useful tips.
Nice. I'll
Um,
make some notes as
Anything you
well.
wanted to talk about? I have a few other.
Well, yeah, I can maybe bring up, I guess one of my topics. Um, Pretty much gonna just talk about the AI, the chat
All
J,
right,
yes, what
GPT.
is GPT? Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
a very, very interesting technology.
it's
Um,
it's it's very trendy subject at the moment.
yes, it is. I was kind of like not on board or into too interested in it, and
Yeah.
then I don't know, I guess just hearing people talk about it, and then you were a very
Mhm.
big kind of like motivation to check it out. And after I've experimented with it now, wow, the thing is very intelligent. It's very
And
interesting.
and it's only the free version.
Yeah, I can't imagine
And
how much is better it's gonna get in a few months, a few years.
I think yeah, in few months we're gonna have a serious competition with Google. They're gonna have.
I
So
think
it's
they
gonna be
already
Microsoft and Google
I think if they
head
already
to head.
have. I mean, I think it was really interesting how like I used it a little bit to brainstorm some things for this podcast, and it's a mosquito in here.
It's very
Sorry.
useful.
Yeah, it's really smart. I mean, and I was doing a little bit of research with some of this stuff. Like, it's really interesting how much they use AI already. So did you know they like use it already with a lot of healthcare stuff?
Wait a second. Sorry,
No, no worries.
sorry. Um, I knew that only later when I start using it, I talk with friends like you and a friend that is working in a startup, and I asked him if he use it. Then he told me that he's not really using it, but it's not something new for him because they use in the startup industry other AIs that help them write code or fix their code or check
Oh,
their code.
wow.
So some people in the industry already been using AI like that, smart like that, for a while now. I've been using more I would say less impressive versions of AI,
Yeah, me too.
like the one that fix your Grammarly.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Alexa, not Alexa, Siri. I've been using Siri, but it's not, mm, it was missing something.
Yeah.
I find I'm struggling to work with it. Sometimes I feel like it's a waste of time.
Yeah, that's why I don't really mess with those ones so much. And I've used those ones
Mhm.
before. And now after interacting with this one, it's very intelligent, and it's quite accurate, I think. It's really, and I really like how you can talk with it instead of having to kind of just Google things, and then you still have to research and read all the stuff that Google gives you. This is really
It's gonna
interesting.
be It's gonna be a big mess for Google. They're gonna have to change their business model, I guess.
For sure.
My guess, now that Microsoft is pushing it, they're gonna have to push theirs as well, interrupt their model. Uh,
Did you hear what happened with the stocks and everything?
I heard that they did.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
back.
yeah, it is going.
Yeah,
Nice.
we're back.
So we ended the last one, which stop us where? Do you remember?
Um,
Kind of I kind of remember we talked about signs the body can give us and using it to uh, use it for prevention.
yeah,
Um, that's kind of
yeah,
what I remember. Last thing we talked about.
yeah. That's what I remember too. But we can move on to the next topic if you like.
Yeah, I've got to. Ah, I remember we talked about AIs. You wanted to
Oh,
edit, mention how you can use the new technology to with with the
health.
supplement with nutrition.
Yeah, it's really interesting how smart it is. I've already played with it a little bit and asked it some questions and kind of teased it, and it's really nice. It's a very um, big time saving compared to trying to Google and read through things and everything. So it's really intelligent thing. I was cautious about it before, but now after kind of interacting with it, I know there's a lot of like challenges still ahead, but I think it has a lot of benefit for us as a society with like diagnosing people and treating people and things like that. It's really interesting how smart it is.
So there is some hospitals, medical facilities that use their
Use
some
AI.
AI for
Yeah,
diagnose.
yeah. I had a list of a few things like so they already use the AI for diagnosis. Like there's algorithms they use to scan images that they use with the X-rays and CT scans, MRIs. So
Yeah, I heard
they
about that one.
yeah, which is really interesting. And then they can
And they do a better job now than the professionals,
yeah,
the
which
one
is
that
it's
analyze.
crazy. The images, yeah, it's really crazy how smart. Um, like predictions of like analytics, so it can like see all your condition, all your factors, and already predict if you're at higher risk, so they can do better predictions for preventative diseases, which is really interesting. Um, like
And
that, and that
like
goes
also with tumors, it can with scans, it can analyze scans better.
yeah, and detect anomalies. It's really
Mm.
smart. How good it's really they're using it too now for like monitoring patients for like remote devices and wearable technology. So they have like the AI that can monitor the patient constantly and stuff. It's really interesting how advanced and how much they use it for already.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
the
yeah.
Apple had some few incidents. I heard that the smartwatch
Oh
was
yeah.
calling
Racist.
calling emergency on someone they thought is having a heart attack.
Oh wow. Shit. I guess it's kind of good, but yeah, it's got limitations still. Like you still there? You still with me?
I have some interruption in the reception.
Oh, no worries. I got you now.
Now I see it better. So I said I met a few people that they use it. Like I met like two or three people that they mentioned they using it for the monitoring their heart because they have some problem with the heart.
Oh, wow.
Actually young people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. I used to have the Fitbit back in Cayman. I used to use it for like running and exercising. It was really interesting, the technology.
Which one?
And
The one over here?
no, the one that you wear, the little ones you wear on your wrist like a watch. Yeah, it
Mm.
was really good. I liked it too. It monitored my sleep. So it can tell you when you go in deep sleep and what stages of sleep and how much you are awake,
According to the
your heart rate.
pulses.
Yeah, your heart rate and movement. So it can detect movement as well. So if you're like
What
moving a
more
lot,
you moving in the bed?
yeah, that would be like disturbances in your sleep. So it like can
Mm,
recognize all those things and it's very accurate. Like when you fall asleep to the moment you wake up, it's to the exact minute. It's very accurate. Yeah,
really?
yeah, I guess it knows once your heart rate changes that you're awake. So it's not like and I think I used some other heart rate monitor at the same. Oh, when I would go to the hospital and they would check my heart rate, blood pressure, I would see what they measured and I would see what it was at, and it was very accurate. Yeah, it was really, and it wasn't
That's
even
interesting.
it wasn't even the newest ones either. It was like one of the second from newest one or third from newest one.
It's interesting. I know someone who suffer from I think insomnia. It'd be interesting what they can learn with putting this on the wrist
Yeah, it was really good.
for a while.
It had a lot of good things you can use it for. Like I didn't really use it to monitor my steps. I used it more to monitor my calories. I was curious how much calories I was burning per day because a lot of people, they have guidelines for how much calories you should consume per day, but they're all kind of like generalizations. It depends on male, female, your age, and how physically active you are. And then those are still generalizations. So you still don't really
Yeah,
know if you're like consuming more calories, if you're even counting or aware of your calories. So I was kind of in that stage. I was experimenting to try to learn more about calories in, calories out, and kind of being able to help people a little bit better how active they are because we think we're burning a lot of calories, but most people aren't. And the steps is a great way to kind of get people motivated to move, but they should really be paying more attention to their calories than their steps.
I wanted to talk about a bit about tips for nomads on the road, digital
Cool.
nomads or
Good.
travelers that doing long trips, people that has a demanding job and they're always on the move. I think that's can be helpful. I remember back when we travel, you taught me some tricks and tips. You would carry spices that are
Yeah.
also supplements like curcumin, like the sea salt, pink Himalayan one,
Mm-hmm.
and moringa powder, and you would mix them. Um At some point, Chase came with bag full of supplement.
Yeah. It was more
I
like a
remember that
bag.
time.
It was like geez, man, I don't know, like a sack full of supplements.
It was
Like
that
so much,
big.
yeah, so much things.
I
Yeah,
never saw so many supplements in one.
you don't even know, man.
I think that,
When I went back to Cayman and he showed me how much he left behind, I was like, holy shit,
whoa.
he had so much. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, cool. Well,
but yeah.
yeah, I'm down. I can talk. I'm interested, ready to talk about a little bit about that topic as well, traveling and eating and being healthy and stuff. Um, yeah, still I've slimmed down on my spices pack because I'm, trying to take priority in certain different items and trying to not have so many
Mhm.
spices and herbs and kind of more improvise on the fly. So, by here in Latin America, it's a lot easier because they have all the little tiny packets of spices and stuff. So you don't have to buy a huge portion. It's easy to buy a little. I'm sure maybe even over there in Israel, it's similar. You can buy
Mhm.
smaller portions of spices and stuff. So if you're traveling, it's a little bit easier. Sometimes I'll keep a little bit of like, if I have a little leftover or something, and I'll put it in I have a little traveling pot set that I have now, like kind of like the one that you remember I had last time, but I swapped those ones out for stainless steel ones now. So those ones last time were aluminum, and I didn't like
Mhm.
using the aluminum. And one of them was non-stick, which is nice, but when you're backpacking and camping, that non-stick's gonna come off pretty quickly with scrubbing and washing and stuff. So you're like consuming a lot of that stuff. So I swapped out for stainless steel pots now, and I still
Which
carry
is it's harder to clean.
the stainless steel. It would be if you were kind of not using like oil or maybe certain foods might get stuck on there. But because it's a stainless steel, you could use a wire brush or use kind of something that's pretty abrasive and it doesn't do anything to the steel. If it just puts a couple scratches in it, it's durable. It's really strong. So that's why I would rather have the food stick to the pan than be consuming aluminum or the non-stick
Mm,
surface, the coating that's on there. And that kind of brings up an interesting topic too. I wanted to talk about in a bit was there's a new study that came out of India where they tested 5 people, and 4 out of the 5 they found it was I'll read it, I'll kind of go over it, but they found microplastics in their blood, in their veins, and it's the
mm.
first study ever to show evidence of microplastics in the veins, in the bloodstream. So
Really? First
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Wow.
for first one, yeah. So it's really that we could talk a little bit about the types of plastics they found and where those plastics are found. Like,
We we've been living with plastics before even before we born.
oh
How
yeah,
come I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's the only now finding it.
it's because it's not something that a study that would generally get a lot of funding for, because there's a lot of I guess entities that would not really want to hear the results of that type of study. So it's better to not know than to try to know. So this study was done out of a university. They were in partnership with someone else, another, I think it was either, it was like an institution, like the National Health Institution. It was in India, but it was, I know, one university specific that was doing this. So of course, it's probably going to come out of something. And it was a pilot study, so it's still small. It's a very small group of people, but still, nonetheless, I mean, it's alarming. And it was long suspected, but there was no evidence to really prove it. The closest other thing we had of proof of something like that, which would be no differ almost, is that were you familiar with the study with the women that were conceiving and then they gave birth and they checked the placenta? It was
The what?
the placenta, the umbilical cord,
Listen.
the cord to the from the mother to the
Okay.
fetus. So there's like 9 women. I can't remember where exactly in Europe, but it was like 6 out of the 9 women they found microplastics in the placenta, and it was long suspected that the placenta has a barrier that doesn't allow toxins and certain things to get to the infant to protect it. But
At least
the,
at least protect to some degree.
yeah, exactly. And then based on that study, it pretty much is showing, evident that children are being born exposed to plastics before they enter the world. So when they're inside the womb, they're already being exposed to plastics. And from my studies, which I like focused a lot on environmental pollutions, that those aren't even, like, I don't know if they're even testing or they can test for nanoplastics. Like nanoplastics are being found in the environment, which are smaller than microplastics. Nanoplastics are so small, you and me can't see them. They're like the size of a grain of sand or smaller. And those are
Smaller
being,
probably.
yeah, and those are being found all over the environment
Mm.
as well. So, I mean, if we have microplastics in us, that we probably might have nanoplastics as well. So we probably have a lot of plastic, depending on your lifestyle, how much plastic burden that you have.
Also, I know in that topic that they've been found some mushrooms and some bacteria that knows how to break it down
Yeah,
as well. So
there's like some
that's
new
the good news.
yeah, some new research going. Yeah, exactly. Like bugs and like type of bacteria, fungi that can break down the plastics and petroleum based items. But it's still like,
Yeah.
I don't know if, that's sometimes we come up with solutions that are short term solutions, but that turn into long term problems. So I don't know if that's going to be the saving grace, like the thing that really fixes or helps us. But hopefully, it's at least if it can be something that can contribute to the solution, then I think it's better than what we have now, which are just, I think, burning them off and recycling them and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when we travel, I think it's a little like I just have the salt pack now, the Himalayan salt. That's the only thing I carry with me. Um, and I try to just improvise with what I have here. Thankfully, in these countries, with all the fruits and vegetables, there's a lot of options that you can really choose from and come up. You just got to be a little creative and a little, I guess, brave to try to experiment with different things and spices and foods. And um, some of the tips that I do now more than I did last time we were traveling together, I do more like granola. So I try to always, like if I'm
Mm,
on backpacking, like, or going busing from places to places, or even going out hiking for the day or something, I may carry some fresh fruit with me, but not too much now. I try to carry less fresh fruit, just because I rather just get it at the next place instead of like carrying it so much now.
carrying it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a hustle.
it's a lot. If I have a vehicle, then it's a different story. But if you're
Yeah.
on foot, I find that the granola is really like filling and kind of satisfying. I try to get like a really good granola, like without sugar and vegan, and it has lots of like different nuts and seeds and some dried fruit. And the here in Brazil, the dried fruit is, man, the dried mango is just out of this world. It's so good, and everything is
Mm,
very cheap compared to, where we are in the West, or at least for me back in Cayman and or in the States. I mean, it's like a third of the price and 3, 4 times fresher. Like the Brazilian nuts, I normally don't ever like Brazil. I mean, I eat them back home, but they're not my favorite. But here they're delicious. I really like them here, and it's not just one place. I've everywhere I've had them in Brazil because they're pretty. They're expensive, but they're not one of the most expensive. Like pistachios is more, walnuts are more. So you
really?
can,
Walnuts.
yeah, they have the nuts here are really good. They have really good, yeah, walnuts and cashews. Lots and lots of cashews is really popular here.
Cashew is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really good here. Like all the nuts here are really fresh. All the dry fruit is really fresh. It's all from Brazil. So it's
So
tastes,
they grow it there.
yeah. I don't know which part do they produce it. I believe up north, but it's really tasty. All the different dried goods. Like they, for the first time ever, this would, you might have probably had it before, but they take like ripe bananas and then they'll dry those, and then they're like these tiny shriveled up, yeah,
Like this.
bananas. Yeah,
Not the cut ones, just the whole
no,
one.
just a whole one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really,
I
it's
tried
not.
them. I tried those few times in a couple of countries, but they're not very popular everywhere.
No,
You
exactly.
find them in special stores, health stores
Ah,
in
okay,
most countries
okay. And here in Brazil now you'll find them at most
or online.
stores. Yeah, and what's really interesting here in Brazil, it's super trendy. Like they're, a bulk store, like where they have like a bulk, they have like the thing, they pull it down and they fill up a big container of it. It's so common in
Hmm.
Brazil. Like every town will have 10 to 20 to 30 big ones, small ones in the mall,
Then people come
around.
and buy like stocks, kilos.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you can, and it's much better pricing than going and buying like a little bag or different you can, the stores get
They
large
just
buy huge
they get
quantities.
big quantity, and then each one you get
Yeah, how
they
much you
put you in
want.
and measure it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And it's really cheap. And all those stores have all those dry fruits and granolas and trail mix and different blends that they make. And so you see goji berries really common here. Goji berries in a lot of trail mix. And
And what about the famous acai?
yeah, you see that too a lot. It's super common. Like not even so much the dry fruit, but you'll see like different foods with the acai. Mostly like the kind of the sherbet, like ice cream kind of version. My friend that I've been traveling with, she knows all the like the really good spots and it's taking me to ones where I've had the like the normal one, the popular one where it's sweetened with the sugar and stuff. And then I've had the one with like no sugar added. And it's amazing how sweet it is without the sugar. You don't need really anything. And it's really, really delicious.
Mm.
Like I could eat it all day long. It's really nice. It's really popular and it's really cheap here. So they have a lot of like acai juices and things like that, or acai bowl, like a fruit bowl. It's really, really common here, like different fruits and acai and coconut and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it's really nice. I'm
You
curious to
making me
go.
hungry.
That's good. I'm curious to go up north and check out really where a lot of the everybody's telling me like all the fruits and all the exotic fruits are like really up north. And that's because it's like closer to the Amazon and that tropical weather and stuff like that. So I'm curious to go see it. They said there's a lot of like interesting Amazonian fruits.
Isn't it tropical where you are at the moment?
It is, but it's like really interesting. They've been telling me that it gets really cold here. And I'm like, really? I'm like, it's really warm and nice now, but they're saying like it's the summertime here now. So
Yeah.
that's like normal. And I was like asking them how cold it gets. And then do you still remember Fahrenheit or you're Celsius?
Celsius.
I think she was saying like 15 degrees or like 10 or something like that. Like
So
really
it's more
cold.
like subtropical.
Yeah, exactly. It's more so, and it's because we're really close to Argentina, and Paraguay, where we are
You're
right
more
now.
lower in the
Yeah, yeah,
equation.
yeah. You do you know those famous waterfalls? They're
What in
Azul,
which one? In Brazil
Azul,
or in
there
Venezuela?
it's the one that's in Brazil that like all three countries. It's between
Ah,
Argentina,
okay, yeah. The
Paraguay,
angel something.
like Azul or
Yeah,
I'm
I remember
terrible.
them.
Yeah, so that's only like 45 minutes from here. It's like not even an hour from
Yeah.
where I'm at. So I'm really
It's one of,
close.
it's maybe the tallest or something like that.
It's like one of the biggest ones, yeah. And from different countries, you get different perspectives of the waterfall. Like Brazil, you get the top part. I haven't, we're gonna go to it in a couple of days and check it out. I
Wait,
can,
the one with Argentina and Paraguay or the one with Venezuela?
no, the one with Argentina and Paraguay.
Ah, okay. Le Igueza or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Laguazo.
Iguaza or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're gonna head there?
Yeah, in a couple of days we're gonna go check it out. Um, like
Nice.
the Brazilian side, you get to see the top of the falls. From the Argentinian side, you get to see the bottom of the falls, and I guess you can even take a boat and like kind of get real up close to the falls, like the water, and get all wet and all stuff like that. But we won't go to that side. We'll just check it out from the Brazilian side. But that's how close we are, like 45 minutes from that area. So I'm really far down south. Um, but when I would go up north, I want to check out more of like the tropical food and fruits and stuff like that.
Do you remember when we traveled? It's sometime you would be feeling exhausted, like really exhausted for days. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
kind of
about you,
remember.
but I felt that.
Yeah, I feel it sometimes.
Uh,
Yeah.
because it's so intense experience for traveling for a long time. You don't have your own spot to relax and to, you know, sometimes you don't have enough privacy, and that also takes the energy. Uh, what would you kind of from the nutrition side, can you give like a few tips to something to put notice to while you
It's
traveling on?
it's kind of difficult to just say from a like without really looking at person to person, because it could also be things that they're eating, maybe not just necessarily things that they're not eating. You know, if
Mm,
you're eating really heavy foods, or if you're eating foods that you're actually kind of have a sensitivity to, let's say like you're semi-allergic to you're not all the way allergic, so you'd be like intolerant to gluten, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't know it. And then anytime you're eating gluten, you're gonna feel, some of those symptoms, which could be fatigue, lack of energy, because your body's having to break down it and it's not able to really do it. So it's really heavy on your digestion. So it could be something also that they shouldn't be eating instead of something they should be eating. I think ideally, if you can eat as clean as possible, whole foods and fresh foods, and even if you try to eat often raw food here and there, I think it's really lacking in a lot of people's diet as well. And you miss out on a lot of things when everything is cooked. So it's good to have, if you can, at least a
I think it's
salad.
it's also a combination if you're used to it or not. Because I remember going full raw when we were traveling together on the farm of Pascal, the time period of time
Oh,
in
oh,
Panama,
yeah.
and it was hard on my body to be
It's
just raw.
Yeah, it takes time. And I think there's a period that a lot of people don't really realize, is that you're gonna go through some detoxing. There is some part of at least generally like a week to 2 weeks. My buddy that was just traveling with me recently from the States, his name is Kyle. Um, because he eats like how he normally eats, not terrible, but not the best. And he was eating with me and my friend Lo, and we eat very, very clean. I'm not sure, if I was curious too if you were vegan or vegetarian, but I've been vegan for a long time now. So he was eating 98% of what we were eating. And
Mm.
after like 2 weeks, he kind of started to go through some like detoxing symptoms, and he didn't really identify them as detox or even want to kind of acknowledge that they were, or admit it, but he thought they were just like he ate something bad, or he thought he kind of got sick. There was mold in the air. So he was having like a lot of sinus issues and congestion and stuff. And I think it was just him going through detox, because he was eating so clean. And then it was kind of funny after, like, I can account for 2 times he decided to eat some meat. So, we were somewhere that wasn't vegan, and he would get some meat and then he would eat. And then afterwards, he'd feel like kind of an upset stomach, and always identified it with the other item other than the meat. So it was like fried fish and fried French fries, I think. Yeah. And then
Mm.
he blamed his upset stomach on the French fries, like he ate too much French fries. And I'm like, you don't think maybe it's the fried fish? Like, you can have really old fish and fry it and no one would know the difference. And you're gonna get sick, but
Yeah,
you wouldn't taste it.
more
So
likely.
exactly. So, oh, we got 10 minutes. Um, so that's why I kind of think people have to take time to slowly transition. I don't think it's good to change something so drastic. I try to really, because if you go too extreme too quick and you have some kind of reaction or you don't feel well, then chances are you're not going to continue doing those healthy steps that you were taking. So it's better to kind of just take your time and feel
Yeah,
comfortable, instead of kind of rushing into like, I'm going to be vegan tomorrow, and people then can't do it for 2 weeks and then they give up, instead of just trying to slowly transition. Like take
yeah, I
one day.
agree.
We used to talk about it, take one day off a week, or try to just eat meat. When you get to the point, you can first start with like Monday, no meat. And then hopefully you transitioning to the point where only Monday you're eating meat. So it's going from one day not eating meat to slowly transitioning to just
Yeah,
one day a week you're eating meat. And
steps,
yeah,
not
exactly.
cold turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
so
agree.
let me see if there was any other things I was gonna talk about. Oh yeah, some things to help when you're traveling. Learn learn the key phrases if you can. I'm getting there. And that's a funny topic because, like, so from Spanish to Portuguese, like you can kind of use some of the same words, like carne, like they know what carne is. Um, and so one time I've been trying to learn the Portuguese words, and if I think I'm gonna say this correctly, if I because I still was a little confusing for me. I said sin carne, and for them, they don't really say sin carne. Remember, there was like sin carne and con, and sin means like no carne, and con means with carne. And I was asking this lady, I was at a bakery, I was hair, which is really tasty. They have palm hearts. You probably have it there in Israel too. Um, palm hearts. It's like I don't know which part of the tree that they use. I think it's like some kind of the stalk or something, but it grows in like a long piece like that, and then they cut it, and you use the inner part, and it's like a white, really kind of tender. It can be more
Yeah.
crunchy. So the hair in Brazil, I've never saw it in any other country being used, but hair they use it a lot in a lot of dishes. It's one of my new favorites. And I was getting like some kind of little like empanada thing with palm hearts. And I was asking her which one, this and that. And I told her this one, she's like sin carne. And here they pronounce sin sem. They don't say sin. And my friend was telling me she was probably hearing me say C carne or something like that, like with carne.
Okay. Okay.
So I got like two of them, and one the first I got two different ones, and the first one was with palm hearts, tasty, happy camper. Getting on to my second one, I'm like, oh, it's a different type. I'm like, I wonder what this is gonna taste like. Man, bite into it. It was a piece of chicken and palm hearts, and I was like, damn it. So even when you try to think you know the local phrases, it's still difficult. So it takes patience and trial and error. And I've had a couple screw
I,
ups here and there.
I wouldn't mind being there and eating your
Yeah,
chicken.
yeah. There you go. See, I need to just have somebody that can take my items when I mess up. But in Brazil, it's been really easy. Like I'm surprised, not in this town that I'm at. It's a smaller town, but everywhere else I've been has had that town I was at called Curitiba. I was there for a few weeks. Man, they have probably over 30, probably 40 different vegan restaurants. And then
Well,
if they don't have vegan, they have vegetarian. And then the vegetarian
that's surprise.
restaurants, oh my God, I was so surprised. And first time ever, bro, heaven. I found heaven. In Brazil, it's really common they have buffets, but like some of these vegan restaurants have a vegan buffet. So you just pay a flat rate and you can go and eat as much as you like, and it's all
Mm,
vegan. It's all vegan.
it's it's usually a recipe for
A
being eating too
full
much.
too much. So I've learned. I've done a couple of them now, and I've learned
Uh,
to like the first two, maybe three times. Yeah, like you go home and you're like, I can't move, and then you're
uh,
like it's a lot. But now I've learned like as much as the
you eat too
temptation.
much and you have too much varieties.
Yeah, so now I eat until I'm full, but I don't overeat. I'd be very mindful of like not pushing because the temptation is there. The first couple of times I didn't know how to control myself. I said, as much as you want. Oh man. So it was, and we went with munchies, of course. So we were super like just
Hungry.
in hungry, enjoying it, and everything from the salad bar to the hot food to the desserts are all vegan. And it's not like one or two options. Some of the places it's like, with the desserts, it's like four or five options. With the hot food, it's like 15
I
different
wouldn't
things.
guess. I wouldn't guess you have it in Brazil. I
Me
would
neither.
think that they'll have big on meat, more big like, and not really popular on vegan like you've been in Mexico, in basically all of Latin America.
That's what I thought. Like
It was very
Mexico,
rare to find vegan,
vegan. Well, in Mexico, it's come a long
especially
way.
in small towns.
Yeah, especially in small towns. But I've been in kind of big cities lately. So granted, I'm starting to go to smaller towns now, and it's definitely a lot less limiting. But or it's a lot more limiting than what the big cities have. But it's still, I'm surprised even like a lot of restaurants they'll have like a vegetarian or vegan option, so even if they
Mhm.
don't have a full menu, they're very accommodating and stuff. So it's actually a lot easier this time around. I'm being stricter on my diet and still finding a lot of options. Whether and then I was gonna recommend to people, last option is what I do in case if I can't find anything is either just make my own food. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fresh ingredients you can get everywhere, way fresher than even Mexico. And it's very cheap here. Like, man, there's some places you would go crazy. It was like um, there was some fruit markets I went to up in the bigger cities where you can go and pick. It's like a almost like this buffet as like mindset. You like all these different tables have all these different fruits and vegetables, and all of them cost the same price, and they're all by the weight. And the weight is like, I think it was like $2 a kilo or something like that. It was like it's very cheap.
For what?
Like
For
two,
fruits?
yeah, it was like fruits and vegetables. Like there was like pineapple, different types of apples, pears, tomatoes, citrus, all the roots like carrots, beets, like a whole different variety, probably like
Okay.
15 or more different types of fruits and vegetables. And it doesn't matter which one you get, they're all the same price. They're all like $2 a kilo. So you can
Well, that's
go,
weird.
yeah, it was really the first time I've ever seen something
How
like that.
how can it be the same price and the
It,
same weight?
it's something like a bulk
Same weight
store.
and
It's
same price?
yeah, it's like a bulk store but for fruits and vegetables.
How can
So
pineapple be the same price as carrots?
it was wild, bro. I was like, all of these
Uh-huh.
things are the same price, and it was so cheap. It was a store. It's not common. It's the only one in that town. But there's other stores that are kind of not as diverse. Like they're not as many things at the same price. There's like different groups of different prices, which but this store is like such a big one that they're able to just sell such high volume that they just make it simple. So it's really interesting. Yeah, I really find that finding the fruits and
You
vegetables like
you
it's easy here.
you're making me yeah, you're making me yearn for tropic fruits.
Oh man, I tell you the mangoes are really good here. The
Some
the
good
pies.
pineapples.
Yeah, they have good pineapples here, but my favorite stuff here has been the mango and the papaya has been some of my favorites for like the fruits. They have a
I
lot of
miss I missed the mango season in Israel this year.
oh man, geez, that's a bummer. You it
And
came
and the last 5 years basically I missed them.
shoot, because you're there in Portugal and everything and Australia. Yeah, man. In Cayman we're
I
so
managed to
lucky.
find some mangoes from Israel in
Oh,
Portugal.
oh, really? Wow, that's cool. Dang,
Yeah.
that's so funny. You're
Yeah, it was
like,
really was they were the best that I found in Portugal.
wow. All right.
So yeah, it's really nice having the quality food probably over there, quality ingredient,
Yeah, it's
cheap
really
prices.
yeah, cheap prices. It's easy. I
Imagine
mean,
you can get the salaries you have in back in Cayman over there.
cheese. Even I've been spoiling myself. Even at the supermarket, which is not even like a juice store, but it's like the most convenient because of where I was before in the last town for a big, I think it's like 800 milliliters, something like that, of orange juice, fresh pressed orange juice was like less than $2, you know. And then the same with coconut water. You could get like 800 milliliters of fresh coconut water, and it was less than $2. So I was just
Nice.
been drinking that coconut water and orange juice all the
That's
time.
that's more than you get in I think in 2, 3 coconuts.
Yeah, and I mean it's fresh and it's like it's every day, so it's really nice to been just drinking juice and coconut water instead of
Yeah. I
anything
wish
else. Yeah, I've been spoiling myself. Yeah, but yeah, other than that, I try to just make my own food whenever I can. If I if I haven't the option of
what
like
about
hmm,
nutritions for aging better?
So it's um geriatric.
I know a bit about free radicals, and you have certain foods that have high amount of them. Then they're supposed to um, slow a bit the aging process from the free radicals in the pollution, in the food, um,
Yeah, there. I mean, there's
and other things.
yeah, there. I mean, I'm not too knowledgeable specific on like aging specific, like nutrition. I have taken a course on for
Hmm.
nutrition for the elderly, and it does kind of it's more about kind of staying active, um, trying to get good rest, take care of your immune system,
Fasting.
eating healthy. Yeah, it's kind of a catch. Like as you're getting older, your metabolism will slow down and generally you'll be less active. So your calorie intake will reduce. So you actually, it's almost like a challenge for older people is to keep weight on. They'll actually lose a lot of their,
Keep weight.
yeah, they'll actually lose
You
a lot
mean
of,
or muscle?
yeah, exactly, muscle. So
Because
if you're
fat,
eating,
a lot of older people get, they have hard time to get rid of the fat. They
exactly.
adding on.
Yeah, exactly. So either if you're like overweight and you know you're heavy set, you're gonna have quite a few issues. Obviously, you wouldn't. Those people would benefit more from a fasting or a fasting period. But usually, most people actually end up losing a lot of weight as they get older, and it's actually a challenge for them to consume enough calories because they actually lose a lot of appetite as you get older as well. So I think
I don't have
fasting's
that problem yet.
no, we're not that old yet, man. We got a while to go. I'm talking like 55 and above, you know, when
Yeah.
you're talking much older. If you're still in your 40s and your 50s, then I think the biggest thing is you know, to try to have preventative um things that you're taking, you know, so foods that are like good fats, that have good balance of fats as well, and really trying to reduce your like processed foods and garbage. And a lot of people struggle with enough fiber. So fiber is a big role in trying to keep your gut is tied to your immune system. So if you have an unhealthy gut, you're going to have a weak immune system. So I think it's good for people
Hmm.
to kind of focus. Fasting is good, I think, but it's not for many people. And then if people aren't open for it, I tell them to at least just, you know, look into intermittent fasting. I think there's a lot of benefits from that. Um, I'm still a little on the fence about long term for certain things. It seems like, you know, kind of altering food styles and your if you kind of you really gravitate to a type of habit, you know, maybe not eating in the morning or eating a big meal in the afternoon or in the dinner and for dinner, certain things like that I think are okay, but it's important to listen to our body and then still try to experiment because sometimes by changing something you actually realize, hey, you feel better if you eat a larger meal for lunch than instead of dinner, you know, or some
Hmm.
people are the opposite way around, you know. So I think it's good for people to try to listen to their body and then go and get checks up, you know, check up on their body, go and get some kind of diagnostic tests. And if they're in doubt, I think it's good to always get a second opinion. I hear way too many times doctors giving poor nutrition advice. Sometimes they hit it pretty close to the nail on the head, and it's like 80% accurate. But sometimes some of the things they say in there is just it doesn't make sense. And that's why it's good to get a second opinion because they just are opinions. They're actually not, you know, 100% fact. So, you know, I think it's good to really talk to a nutritionist or a dietitian to really
Usually,
make sure.
the average doctor don't have training for nutrition. Is that true?
Yeah, most of them don't,
From
and
what
if
I
they
seen.
No, and it's true. And if they do have any nutritional background, it maybe would have been one course. And sometimes it's not even one course. Sometimes it's like a course on something else. And then they briefly talk about nutrition. But it's usually not something that now some doctors, and I think more doctors today than before, are becoming more knowledgeable and actually pursuing some education and credentials in nutrition so that they can better serve their patients. But unless you really like focused in it, it's really hard to under. It's just the same as me trying to speak about certain things that are not in my field of expertise or
I don't know.
training.
I find it really odd. I find it really odd that a doctor would not
It
understand,
it's difficult.
especially because it's something that everyone should have some sense of understanding, in my
It,
opinion.
I agree. I
It's
think
how to take care of your body.
it's two reasons for that, I think. One, that the institutions in the medical industry
Yeah.
didn't really want to, for whatever reasons that be. I'm sure it's, you can start talking a little bit conspiracy or kind of, it's hard to prove some of the speculations of why the health industry and institutions don't incorporate more nutrition into their education curriculum. But I think it's also more so that it's difficult for medical professions to specialize in or have a all-encompassing background. Even like
Yeah,
I was
that's 100% difficult, but
the,
I'm saying as a personal, before you're a doctor, ha should have some basic understanding
they
of,
should.
I'm not talking about specializing in nutrition, but just understand the basics,
Yes, I agree, but
you know?
it's still difficult because their profession isn't necessary. And now I'm agreeing with you, but I'm kind of saying on the kind of defense of how, you got to look at both sides. Like I've even talked to recent veterinarians. They're in school to become veterinarians, and it was interesting that they're only taught like certain types of animals. Like they spend a lot of time on cattle, on horses, common pets, cats, dogs, um,
Mm,
some basic
pigs.
animal. Yeah, so it's not even like they're taught really much about birds or reptiles, amphibians, exotic animals. Like you have to go into more specialized training for those. They're just and even with nutrition, they're taught basic nutrition for the animals so that they can be healthy, but they don't go very big into it. So I think it's just hard that it's so much. I'm agreeing they should have some type of basic, even not even
I
doctors. I
mean,
think
like, look, how can you treat someone if you don't understand the basic of their operation system? If you
because
compare the body to a computer.
it's different types of health in a sense that it's not healthcare for like diagnosing like your whole body and then looking at it through the lens of nutritional. It's more of
Yeah,
like looking at your body as how the conventional medicine is. It's a little bit more compartmentalized. So they look at sections of your body instead of looking at it overall. But I think ultimately, man, I think nutrition shouldn't even be just taught in for doctors. I think we should be taught it in normal our education, in high school
schools.
or
Yeah,
in college or whatnot.
yeah.
It should be a requirement,
Kindergarten.
as far as we're taught how to write and read in history and economics and mathematician and all that stuff. I think we should
I would change. I would take out of 80% of mathematics lessons I learned that I never used,
yeah, and put
and
in one
I'll put some
nutrition
nutrition
class.
instead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed. So yeah, I think that's really the bigger issues that society doesn't put it as a priority. And I think there's a couple of reasons for it. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't really benefit from healthy people. And the easiest way
no.
to have healthy people is to just eat healthy. So I don't think you can prevent everything. There's a lot of chemicals and things in our environment that's
No.
making us sick. But at least I think a lot of people would have a lot less conditions and diseases, or not as severe, or they wouldn't come, the onset, like the progression of them wouldn't come as early or as quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that.
Yeah.